What's good, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Stage, where I Drift get to talk to a lot of people and be selfish and learn about how to get into the industry. For everyone that has been listening or watching so far, we've had numerous number of guests, ranging from stream producers to photographers to videographers to event directors to tournament organizers. This week, we have someone who a lot of people may not know about, but someone that is very influential, I'd say, in the esports photography scene, especially within Europe. Last week, we already had Vexany, but this week we have the wonderful Adela. So Adela, welcome to Behind the Stage.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for having me.
That's all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, good.
I'm great. A bit nervous, but excited.
Do not be nervous. This is a very, very informal podcast. For those that are watching or listening, feel free to tune in. So Adela, for those that don't know you, and again, because you are normally behind the camera as a photographer, could you give us a brief description about yourself, like how you got to him?
Of course. My name is Adela. I am based in Warsaw, where I live with my two cats that will probably make an appearance at some point here on this podcast as well. I've been doing esports photography, I think for this year is the 12th year, 1-2 of me doing esports photography, and I haven't done that many fighting games, which I know you come from. I wish that wasn't true. Like I wish I could do a bit more, but I've been here in esports for over a decade, and it all started with the good old IM Katowice, which I went to with two of my best friends. And that was one of those things when we woke up one day. We were League of Legends fans back then, when we played that game like religiously all the time. And at some point, someone was like, "Hey, so there's this thing in Katowice happening, and they're gonna play like professionally." What do you mean they're gonna play professionally? What are they gonna do? I was like, I don't know. Let's go and see. And we did. And not only we decided to go, I also decided I was dabbling in photography back then, like hobbyist. I just finished high school back then.
Right.
So I was like, my little side thing was photography. And I just checked who are the media outlets that are attending the events. And I wrote an email to all of them, being like, "Hi, my name is Adela. I'm a photographer, kinda. Here's my portfolio. If you give me a press pass, I will give you my photos." And it worked out somehow.
Amazing.
And I gotta say it changed my life. That event changed my life in a very real, literal way. Because from the first moment that, I put my camera to my eye, and I hear like that crazy feeling, right? The roar of the audience, the lights, the IM Katowice, it's Spodek, it's like filled with people. It was I don't know how many people like from FGC would know that, but that was the legendary backdoor performed by XPK versus SK Gaming, when like people were literally crying on stage. Spodek was having its roof blown out by the fans screaming. That was insane. And I was there in the middle of all of that, trying to capture that with my kit lens and my so I don't even know what I was working on back then. I can't even remember that. But like I remember being in this like eye of the hurricane, right, and thinking that this is it. Like this is great. This is what I want to do. Yes. And this amazing sense of calm that I still feel on my good days when everything is roaring, everything is going crazy, and I'm just there with my camera trying to capture the frame that will, in any way, shape, or form, kind of, will make people feel what I'm feeling right now when I'm shooting them.
Okay.
So that is my esports story.
No, that's your origin. That's your origin story right there.
Yeah.
You mentioned
villain origin story.
That's not a villain at all. Jeez. You mentioned a few names, and being a League of Legends fan myself, starting 10, 12 years ago. Season 4 was when I stopped. Well, that was when I stopped. I tried. I'm back. I'm being dragged in by mutual friends of ours. I'm watching
playing ARAMs right now. I'm on a bit of a detox. I'm playing ARAMs only.
ARAM's fine. I'm only back to watching it. So Worlds, LEC, that's all I've got.
Yes.
Valorant has got my hooks. It got its hooks in me anyway. But you mentioned it. You mentioned the names Expeke, the backdoor at IEM Katowice. That just triggered a memory for me. I can't remember if it was the Expeke game or if it was like SK versus like T1, where Faker, well, might be just Expeke or Faker, was not more was backdooring and just teleporting around the Nexus.
That's the game. That was Expeke playing on Fnatic back then versus SK gaming with Ocelot, and he was playing Kassadin.
Yes,
for people who don't know, it's the champion that he has an ability to jump around.
Yes.
And to win a League of Legends game, you have to destroy the one big building in the middle.
Yeah.
So he was jumping all around the building and like hitting the building and jumping and hitting.
Yes.
And a player, very famous player back then called Ocelot, was like trying to catch him and he couldn't.
Yes.
And it was a fatality. It just
that game was peak.
Yeah.
It still is. Like the fact
so that was the start for me. So like after that, you just can't not be hooked.
I don't blame you, honestly. And for those that who may not have known of Ocelot, he is now part or co-owner at least of G2.
I don't think if he is anymore. He was definitely the founder of G2. Okay. I'm not sure what's the situation is right now.
He was founder of G2 again. Adela being
definitely founder of G2. Yeah,
part of being of esports background, definitely knows better than I do. So I will take her word on that one. But so that's your origin story. Amazing, and what a game to start on. I am Katowice with Expeke doing that Kassadin backdoor was just my god. And we'll go into more details slightly later about your camera equipment. You mentioned a kit lens, which is perfectly fine for those listening and wanting to be a photographer.
Absolutely.
There is no drama there. So starting from IEM Katowice, going with your friends, taking some photos, emailing media outlets and asking for a press pass. So
sorry, now that I think about it, it's just such an insane thing to do. It worked out somehow. So.
One of the questions is going to be like, how would you recommend people start that now that you've had 12 years of experience? Like, we're just going to jump right into it then. Like, you've had 12 years of experience. Like, what would you recommend people trying to get into photography? I wouldn't even just say esports or FGC, but esports in general. Like, what would you recommend they do to get into your field?
You mean esports photography or esports in general?
Esports photography, like to go to where you are now. As for someone that's starting out, you've had 12 years of experience. What would be a piece of advice you would give them right now if someone stopped you on the street and asked you?
Well, I just said that it was a bit of insane what I did, right? Yeah. But now that I think about it, not really. Because if you're starting, people don't know you. You have to get yourself out there somehow. So actually reaching out to people with a portfolio and an offer, I think it's a very legit way to do it, and it shows your drive and your dedication, and it shows that you're self-sufficient in a way, and that you're able to look for your own paths and not just wait for things to happen, which in esports photography I would say is, as in life in general, it's pretty important.
Okay.
I know, that's a question I get a lot about how to get into esports photography and how to become an esports photographer. And please don't get it the wrong way, but the simple answer is go and shoot esports. And I understand that this is not as easily achievable for a lot of people as it sounds. If there's no esports in your area, then I understand this is just very difficult to do, right? Yeah. But as we started with my story, just going to IEM Katowice. First of all, I don't live in Katowice. I offered my services. My services is the big word, right? But I paid for my accommodation. I paid for my train. I got there on my own, and then because there was no events in Poland, I started looking and what's happening in general, and I found this little small thing called DreamHack. That was actually looking for volunteers and photographer volunteers. The small thing is that it was in Sweden. So I saved money to go to Sweden to volunteer at DreamHacks. So everyone's situation is different, but the first and most important thing is try to shoot esports if you can, of course, as much as you can. And I would also say there's no shame in volunteering. Back to the DreamHack thing.
Yes.
Definitely, especially in the beginning of your journey. This is like the best way to learn and to see if that's even a thing for you without too much pressure of a commitment of, oh, this is a paid gig. I have to do this and this and that. If you're a volunteer, then pretty much whatever you deliver is what your client gets, right?
Yes.
So this is just, I would say, a very good way to learn.
Oh, definitely.
And if you cannot do esports, if you can't shoot esports because you're just stuck in a place that's just unlucky like that, then I would say try and shoot as many events as possible, be it like expos or concerts or even your family events. If you're having a family, like if you're having a grandma's birthday, take your camera with you so you learn to look out for things happening and look out for shooting them to get into this like live event photographer mindset. There is no, as you probably know, there is really not that much. I would say, there's not much that we can plan for. There are things we can plan for, but in general, we are there to just like capture the moment as we see it.
Yeah.
And that is a skill that you can learn, fortunately, in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
So I would personally much rather, if someone approaches me with a portfolio, I would much rather see a polished portfolio of sports events, expos, your cousins playing in a guitar in a band, so you went and shot that, and those photos are clean, they're good, you've captured emotions, and you did a good job, than to see a like blurry, overexposed photo of Faker somewhere in there. It's just, yeah.
Yes, no, I completely agree. One point I want to sort of reiterate, really, like there is no shame in volunteering. There is 100%. Like you have to start somewhere, and volunteering.
Pretty much all of us started like that,
right? And then you can start looking for these paid opportunities. One thing I want to ask, definitely though, is when you again back to the Katowice for a brief second. When you email these media outlets, you asked for a media pass. You didn't ask for payment, did you? You just asked for a media pass. You asked, and you got and you offered them in return the photos you took.
No, I was 20 years old. I was like, I remember that moment. I was sitting in a lecture of neuropsychology. That was a lecture in neuropsychology, and I was looking at those like brains on the screen.
Wow.
And I was like, writing an email about, hey, I just like, that's the deal. I want press pass for photos. That's it. Because I really had I keep on doing the quotations when I'm saying portfolio, because back then it was nothing. It was photos of me going to the parties and shooting my friends. That's what I mean. Go to your grandma's birthday party and take good photos of that. So I'm pretty sure that those kind of people that actually did go for my deal, they later admitted that they weren't that impressed with my portfolio, but they were pretty impressed with my gut, with my like the fact that I reached out and the drive that I showed in that email. And years later, whenever we managed to talk, they joked that that was a good decision on their part, because look how it turned out, and I'm still very grateful. So thank you guys, Poligamia.pl. My boys, thank you.
Excellent. No, good. So that was definitely one question I normally would like to ask, like, what do you recommend to people? And you've given a very, very detailed answer. So thank you very much, Adela. But back to sort of your
yapping.
Do not be sorry. This is all about yapping. Like Stephanie, a mutual friend of ours, Vexney, she yapped a lot and she enjoyed her time. So this is all about yapping. This is just me throwing questions at you and letting you go. But from IEM Katowice to volunteering at DreamHack, if anyone decides to look at your portfolio website, which will be linked in the description for both YouTube and Spotify and every podcast application available, you have done a lot of work. What could you give us another short sort of brief, I guess, not even brief, just give us a history of events you have attended? Because after you've done that, I'll probably name some clients you have done, and people will be shocked at how big and how much work you've done and how global you've been because you've traveled the world so much because of esports.
I have. It's been an immense privilege to be able to do that. Right after, like, I started volunteering at DreamHack, and I met a lot of fantastic people there. Helena Christiansen, another like GOAT photographer. I met a lot of people working at DreamHack, so they're still my friends, and I work with them a lot. And somewhere along the line, they started doing tournaments called DreamHack Open. Those were like smaller circuits. Those were like Counter-Strike, CSGO tournaments happening in all around DreamHack festivals that by that time started to go all around the globe. So it wasn't just a DreamHack in Jönköping, Sweden. It was DreamHack, in Valencia, in like a lot of different London, a lot of different spots. And I was lucky enough to started to be hired for those. And it kind of snowballed from there. You just meet people, you get your name out, your photos start circulating, and I've started being approached for ESL work at IEMs. Then I started being approached for Dota events as well. Just a lot of very different events around the globe. I'm not like, I know you asked me to just give you examples, but there's just so many of them, especially those DreamHacks and those IEMs, they are accumulated.
They've accumulated. They are massive. They are big. They run multiple times over the year. So I wouldn't even be surprised if you couldn't remember all of the events you've been to. Because again, a 12-year career so far, there's 12 months in a year. There's probably an event a month that you probably go to at minimum. So you've got IEMs, you've got your DreamHacks, you've got your blasts, and
then there was Blast. Then there was Blast. Then there was I was lucky enough last year to work with Riot Games and with PGL and Valve. So there was just like
So you've done
a lot of amazing opportunities
with PGL and Valve. That basically is Dota, and with PGL, I would assume the International is one of there you go. So there's an extremely massive event, one that I always tune into, or try to at least, even though I do not play Dota. I tried playing Dota 2 back in the day, was not good. I went over to League. That's my history there. But
a brave statement to put out on the internet,
People will hate me, and I'm okay with that hate. That's perfectly fine. I get skill dipped. It's perfectly okay. I am man enough to admit and appreciate my lack of skill. But yeah, so being able to work for the International as an event
that was insane,
right? So, and then obviously with Riot, having, again, not looking through your portfolio, but having a look at your work, because I follow you. Again, this always sounds creepy whenever I say it. When I follow people and I get them on this podcast, I say, I follow your work and I like a lot of what you do. And again, it sounds...
It's not creepy. That's why we put our work out there, right?
Exactly, right? So check
people can see it.
Yeah, so see your work. And I just need to phrase it a lot better. You've covered Valorant with Game Changers. You've shot for G2 Gozen, who is probably the best team in Game Changers, and much love to all of those people, as well as G2 in general. And those pictures were amazing. So you've done so many events, you've worked with so many people, and alongside of those, I'm not you get one before the other. You either work with the team or you work with a brand, and there's a lot of Red Bull work inside your portfolio. So you've managed to build yourself out from starting, deciding to get a press pass at a small event in Katowice, to volunteering, to snowball into these Counter-Strike events, to Dota events, to Riot events, to Red Bull events. You've done a lot, Adela, so I don't think you give yourself enough credit for from where you were to where you are now, because you are one of the best photographers within esports, and that is a very big statement. I'm willing to back it up, and I'll back it up to say within the EU as well, and the world, really, because your work is amazing. So I've just have to say that. That's all right.
Wow, I'm a bit overwhelmed right now. One thing I feel I need to clarify is I haven't worked at the Red Bull event yet.
Okay. Oh,
I would love to, putting it out there. I would love to, but it hasn't happened yet. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's wow. It's amazing to hear. It's always so nice.
Good. I'm glad. You should people. And again, one reason I have this podcast is not to bring light to people that is always behind the camera, but to show thanks for everything that people have done to bring us these events, to show us what happens in and around and behind the stage, the camera, the event, the works, and yeah, to get people involved where possible, because God knows we need more people generally around all these events, because I just want it all to grow and hopefully, selfishly, get a job myself somewhere. But yeah, if you haven't worked a Red Bull event, apologies for that. I thought you'd have.
Okay.
But you know, again, we manifest what we want in this world.
Manifest, exactly. We're manifesting
so, yeah.
here.
One day I will get to Berlin. I will work in the Riot Studios for Valorant, and that'll be a great time. I'll probably try and shoot them
Manifesting
media pass at least to start with. So here's a very difficult question for you, because you've done so many events and you can't really remember them all because it's all a blur. It's been a very rushed 12 years. What do you think you are most known for? Like, what is your most well-known photo that you've taken? Was it the Expeke, or was it something more recent, like the Game Changers stuff, or Riot, Valorant?
I think when we're talking about the frames, like, photos, I would say my Game Changers frames were, like they made circles, and some of them made history, or like I was able to capture some of the amazing history. You mentioned that you're like a G2 Gozen fan. I'm like a Shopify Rebellion diehard fan here. My girls. But of course, also I'm completely objective here as a photographer for the event, as a person working on event. I am objective. I'm objective. But we're not having an event now, so I can say Shopify Rebellion. Anyway, I was able to capture some of the fantastic history that is Game Changers. I was able to attend 3 years in a row, and that was I'm saying it very confidently now that those were not the biggest events. Those were not the most prestigious events in terms of, viewership or prize money or whatever. But they were some of my absolute favorites. Like the raw passion, the atmosphere, the community there. It's something completely different that I think I would love to see more in esports. So I would say Game Changers, and I'm happy and proud that I was able to capture some of the history there. I would say I had a fantastic 2024, especially the second part when I was able to attend the International and the League of Legends World Finals at the same, in the same year, like months after each other. That was insane. So I was also able to capture T1 lifting the trophy yet again when Faker said that this trophy is for you, for me, for all of us. So I was able to capture that trophy. That's like also for us, which is thank you, Faker. We appreciate that. So some of those photos also I think were got around. That was amazing to see them being like cherished and loved by the community. And League of Legends community is very, they're very passionate. Yes. And Riot Games uploads their photos on Flickr. Some of them, of course, yes, right? But some of them are uploaded for the people to use and see. And so that was amazing to see. You go on Twitter and then you see like some like edits using your photos with Keria or Faker. It's just like it's just so nice. And so I would say those. I've had some nice frames from majors over the years, from the Counter-Strike. Those. But if I had to say what am I known for, like kind of outside, not just, as a photo, I would say kind of what you mentioned, this versatility and diverse portfolio that I managed and was lucky to accumulate over the years. I've been able to work at so many games at this point, like so many, and see so many different faces of esports and capture the esports history. And I was able to, and I'm still able to work with new games and kind of adapt to the games and adapt to the scene. And at this point, I think I am able to see esports a bit wider than a lot of people do. As in, when I am not just a fan of one game.
No.
I'm a fan of a lot of games.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of photographers, especially the new ones coming into the game, they would love to be esports photographers because they are a fan of one particular community title or a team, which on one hand is fantastic. That's a great way to start because you have this passion, you understand the community, you understand the game. But after some time, it's very good to be able to see a bit wider and compare the games between each other and the communities between each other and the titles and the tournaments. And I am, I'm not in any position. I am not a producer. I'm not a director. So I have no oversight when it comes to how the show is produced.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot to say when it comes to how it is being portrayed, literally.
Yes.
So seeing what works in one game and thinking that later, how can I implement that in this other community that is completely not used to this thing that the other community is doing. But hey, maybe it will work, and it usually does. So being able to just see esports from kind of from a distance is, I would say, a strong advantage that I have, and something I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, definitely, no. You've mentioned something which I now want to pick your brain about, and it's going to be another very hard question. Whilst you've shot so many different games, and whilst you are a fan of all of them, what game is your favorite to cover?
Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike?
Yeah, Counter-Strike.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's kind of no-brainer. Yeah. I'm not going to say that it's like, Counter-Strike first and there's nothing, and then all of the games. No, it's not like that, but there are like some very close seconds and thirds, but Counter-Strike for years has been on the top for multiple reasons. But the simplest reason is that this game is so easy to follow and navigate. I have never... no, I'm lying. I have played approximately 15 minutes of Counter-Strike, and I hated every minute of it.
Okay, fair.
No, you cannot pay me enough to play this game again. But no. I can shoot this game like... I don't want to say like no other, because there's a lot of people who can shoot this game very well, but, I can shoot this game very well. And it's not just because I have some psychic abilities. It's because Counter-Strike is just easy to navigate as far as esports goes. And Counter-Strike is photographer's dream. You have a structured, like you have the structure, right?
Yes.
When you have round after round after round.
Yeah.
And at the end of the round, something will happen.
Yes.
Something. And if you're lucky, then something will happen after every round. So you have multiple opportunities usually to capture some amazing emotions during the game.
Yeah.
So Counter-Strike is just photographer's dream. If you can't shoot Counter-Strike, well, then I'm sorry, but it doesn't get easier than that.
Fair enough. I would love to try and shoot Counter-Strike one day.
I think you'd love it.
I would. I mean, again, a bit of history from myself. I started before League of Legends, was Counter-Strike 1.6. I lived and breathed that game for like 3 or 4 years. And then I went to university and... Counter-Strike Global Offensive came out before CSGO came out. And that was what ruined me and never made me go back to the game anymore. Counter-Strike now, CSGO with CS2. I've not really touched it. I'm more of a Valorant boy. Riot has my wallet, and that's very scary. But they're not sponsoring this or anything. It's literally just me saying,
Riot, come on.
These games. That'd be right if you want.
Riot, come through.
Come through. Don't sponsor me. Just hire me. That'd be great. Thanks.
Just come through. Right. Go on.
Thank you. But no. So yeah, Counter-Strike 1.6 was where I started. I would love to shoot a Counter-Strike game. It's very difficult even with a media pass. So I've been to a few Insomnias here in the UK. Those stages are a bit inaccessible unless you are like on staff. So obviously, because they are raised platforms, and then you've got the tables with the covers for the players. So trying to shoot up high is quite difficult.
Yes.
there's very limited angles, so you don't really have as much access as you would as a staff.
For sure.
Which isn't.
Sure. I apologize for my earlier comment, by the way, when I said that, like, if you can't shoot Counter-Strike, that, like...
There's always limitations.
I mean...
There will always be limitations.
Sorry?
Oh, you okay?
Wow, those are the Counter-Strike gods
okay.
punishing me for my comments right now.
You're fine. Oh.
Okay, it's over. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
My neighbors decided to drill at like 8:30 p.m. So.
Oh no! Oh yeah, no, I could hear a little bit. That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with it as long as you want.
Yeah, let's continue. The Counter-Strike gods punishing me for my comments.
Yes. So Counter-Strike can be quite an easy game to shoot if you have the access. Again, there's always limitations. If you have a media pass, there is certain limits you can't reach. Like you're not staffed, you're not allowed to certain areas, which is always going to be the case. So you're dealt a hand, and you just have to play that hand regardless of what you've got.
Absolutely.
If you make it work, you make it work, and that's why you become good or great even. So you've done a lot of shoots, done a lot of events, a lot of games, game changers. Again, I just want to roll back. It's not to be brown nosing right even more, but I do love the aspect and the direction of game changers, allowing an esport to not be as male dominated as others. Not to say they are, but to have a more focused approach to the LGBTQ plus women, female space of esports and games. It's wonderful. I only hope that it continues to grow and that it gets a slot on the VCT channels on Twitch or wherever they broadcast on. But that's the only part I have. So finishing brown nosing right there. Again, whatever. How do you define success? Like when you go to an event, like you get given a brief, you've spoken to your employer as such, and you have to work for Media Day, you have to work through the event. What at the end of the event, like how do you define it to be successful for yourself?
Ooh, that's I like that question. I really like that question. Right now, maybe let's start from the beginning. It used to be very difficult for me. Like defining success, it's something that a lot of freelancers struggle with, not only photographers. Not only freelancers, right? Like we all struggle with defining success. And me myself, like probably a lot of people, there was a moment when I fell into this trap of comparing myself to other people and trying to some extent you have to, right? But like I tried to define my success in comparison to my peers way too much, which is, spoiler alert, guys, it doesn't work. Don't do that to yourself. It's just like, of course you have to have some kind of points of reference, but, and your peers, of course, are usually a good point of reference, but please don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Do not compare especially on like social media and cloud. Just, I see a lot of people do that. I used to do that. It's pointless. Please don't. That's my 12-year. If there's one thing I would like you to remember from this ramble of like with a woman who did 12 years in this career, please don't compare yourself to others too much. So last year I started to try redefine how I do it, and right now of course I'm still struggling, but right now I try to define success when as you said, when I come back from the events, when I look back, I try to think about how hard did I work, and when I really sit with myself, like just me and my thoughts, did I really give 100% there? Did I really work as hard as I was supposed to work, or did I kind of slack? Did I run to get these shots, or did I kind of like decided to go and get a coffee, right? It's just so that, like, how hard did I work? How well did I prepare to an event, especially if I go and shoot a game that I haven't shot in a while? So did I do my prep? Did I check my faces? Did I know my talent names? Do I know my player names? Do I know the storylines before I go there? That's a prep, by the way, that I would recommend people doing, especially if you go into a new game. Just go and check. Just go and even make yourself a PowerPoint presentation if you have to, with all the faces, the names, the storylines, the biggest themes, so that when you are like thrown into like eye of the hurricane, that you know what to look out for. So did I do all that, or did I just kind of come to an event and hope for the best, right? So that if that's the first thing. How hard did I work? How well did I prep? Is my client happy? Basically, because sometimes I will think that the photos I have delivered are the worst photos that anyone has ever seen, and I should basically sell my equipment and go and go feed some goats in the Himalaya mountains. But then it turns out that my client is over the moon, and they're like, "Wow, those are fantastic, Adela. Please come back." And I'm like, "Okay, never mind. And maybe I'm not that bad." And third thing, did I manage to achieve all those things without being an asshole to everyone around me? Which I think is very, very important. So, like, people are stressed. Environments are, like, very fast-paced in esports. So was I basically okay to work with, or was I a bit of a, or did I ruin someone's day because I was in a hurry, right? Yeah. So those are the three things I would consider would have to happen for me to have a successful event.
Yes. By the way, you can swear on this podcast, so don't worry about like holding back on your words.
Okay.
So I mean, feeding goats in the Himalayan mountains sounds like a wonderful time. I would love that as a life and a job. So if
capybaras.
I went to see some capybaras a couple months back. Where there's a local zoo around here. That has a feeding opportunity. It's booked up for like 9 months. Managed to get in quite early. We were supposed to meet some red pandas instead, but the sad story there. We'll move on. But they gave us capybaras instead, and petting and feeding capybaras can recommend, should do it if you get a chance to do it. You covered a lot of things there, and you've put my mind into the Himalayan mountains and goats, capybaras. So I'm just trying to remember what you mentioned there. Because there was something I really wanted to speak about.
Now I also have an image of myself just feeding goats in Himalayas. It's like, it's a simple life.
it's a simple life. It's a great life.
Yes.
Rogue One, great film. Give it a watch. I'll come back to my thought because I've remembered it now. I'll come back from come back to my thought. So events are stressful. They are stressful. They are stressful. And sometimes emotions run high, not because of any other reason, but everyone is stressed and emotions run high. I can be a bitch. Anyone can be a bitch during the event.
Yes, queen.
Just please, if you work an event, even if it's as a volunteer, be mindful that they don't mean it. Like, we don't mean it. I don't mean to be a bitch, to be a dick, and to swear or to shout at you. I will try and find you if I've sworn at you to apologize, because of in the moment things are high tension, things need to run, and things might have been broken, and I am in a rush.
Right? That's actually I try to do the same whenever I feel after an interaction as if fuck I was an asshole there. I try to come back and be like, hey man, I'm sorry. It's just like I didn't mean to make it sound like that.
Yeah. So again, that's just something I want to bring up, because a lot of people think like we do it for the love of what we do, which is why we're doing where we are right now. So emotions get charged, emotions are high, stress is high. No one's out here just to be a dick, just to be annoying or not be respectful.
And kind of, to be fair, if someone is out there just being a dick, they usually are not in the scene for long. That's my experience.
Yes.
Just people cannot handle that pressure and cannot at least come later and apologize and are just like difficult to work with. Yeah. They usually don't work in. You can be the best at what you do, but you just won't probably get hired again. Yeah. There's very few stories of like this Dr. House characters, right? They're like this absolute genius kind of person, and what they do, one in the lifetime generational talent. But they're an asshole. No, I'm sorry. We're not having surgeries here. We're running in tournaments, so you are probably replaceable.
Yes.
So don't be an asshole.
Yes. And with that said, you have to work in a team. So if you don't go turn around and apologize, like you said, you're just going to get removed, replaced, and have someone that is probably maybe slightly less technical than you are in what you do, but being able to work in a team as a whole and everyone has good vibes. So really, and with all these big events in Counter-Strike, in International, in Worlds, with Riot, like you have to work as a team. It's a very big arena. It's a very big space you have to work in. One person cannot photograph everything.
Absolutely.
So, like, what if, as a freelancer, if a potential contract came through, and they go, Adela, like, you have to build out the photography team.
Avengers assemble.
Basically, yes. Like, who?
Yeah, get us a team.
Get us a team. What do you look for in choosing your team? If you haven't had the opportunity already to choose your team, like, what would be like the characteristics? Like, obviously, they're all good photographers, hopefully. But what would you look for to build your Avengers?
I think we covered like literally 50% of why and how people hire other people. Is that the how easy it is to work with you, how it's, I don't want to say it's about the vibes, because
it can be about the vibes.
It can be, but like also like the personality hires, I don't think they are like a thing outside. This is not corporate kind of thing. We have a job to do.
Yes.
So we can't have just a personality hire chilling around. Sorry, but given like the minimum that like everyone can take good photos, right? I would definitely look for people that have a opinion, or that I know personally, that are easy to work with and that have been proven to work in a team without creating some kind of unnecessarily drama, or just like they don't have this kind of reputation. And trust me, that reputation follows you. It's very unless if you don't course correct fast, you will gain a reputation, and that reputation will follow you for a long time. It's very difficult to lose it once you gain it. So I would look for people that do not have the certain type of reputation, and I would look for people who have some. I would look for diversity of skills. So I would want to have in my team people who can take amazing portraits. I would want to have people in my team that can take fantastic wide arena shots, that are known for them, that they're like, just meticulous. Those like everything is perfect, and those wide, fantastic hype shots, the multiple exposure, they do their mambo jumbo, and those are fantastic. And then I would look for people who do great portraits, but as in, they are able to come up to the talent, for example, and be like, hey, can we do like a very fast photo shoot, like literally 5-10 minutes? Can we like go over there? And then we suddenly have those fantastic portraits out of nowhere, literally, with the talent that then social media and marketing can use, and the talent themselves can use as well, which they're usually very happy to do. I would look for someone who can shoot those like action shots from unusual spots. There are people who specialize in that are able to, even if they don't have stage access, they are able to like just go somewhere in the audience with their 70 to 100, and somehow they manage to get like this perfect like pinpoint shot. I would look just for diversity of skills, and once a certain baseline has been achieved, yes, this is what I would look for.
Okay.
But definitely photography, esports photography is a team sport. It's a team activity. It's not obvious. And I know this is something a lot of people have to learn, but this is not a lone wolf type of thing. Even if you are hired for a client as just you, and you only have responsibility to deliver photos to your one client, and you work on your own, you will work in a space where other photographers are. For example, in the pits, in those like media pits, you will have to in a press room, you will have to be around other people. And if you're an asshole repeatedly, you will be remembered for that. If you are known for the fact that you that you continuously like, stand in front of someone else's lens and pretend that you didn't see anything, or like, do stuff like that, it will be remembered and people will make your life harder for you.
Has that happened to you before? Like, almost, but in the pit, if you're using a 70-200, that's a pretty big lens. If someone's walking in front of you and not seeing it, that is... You don't have to name names. You can say yes or no.
No. It's just like I'm one of those privileged people that I'm usually on the stage, right?
Of course, yes.
I am usually the person who I usually try to look out. And if I see my friends from HLTV, for example, trying to take a shot, if I can be somewhere else, I will probably move a bit.
Yeah.
I will not sacrifice my own shot for that, but I will just try to.
But if you can take a step to the left or right,
if I can, I will, right? And people notice that if you don't take that step repeatedly, if you're just completely unaware of your surroundings and are somehow in everyone else's shot, and it's just remembered. Or, if you sit around in like a press room or like the place where people work at, and you're just kind of like negative cloud of... No.
No.
So yeah, your photos may be like completely, absolutely one in a lifetime generational talents, but to be fair, I have not met a generational talent yet. I have met so many amazing, fantastic, talented people, but I haven't met anyone whose photos are so completely way and above and beyond what everyone else is delivering that it will just like, justify them not behaving properly on site. So,
fair.
But maybe I will.
Maybe. I mean,
maybe.
I would say you're still quite young in your career in esports photography.
Hey, just 12 years, yeah.
Only 12 years. Like, there's still plenty of life in all of us to keep going.
Absolutely.
Esports is still growing, so like...
Yeah, you're not getting rid of me that easily. So.
I hope not, because I love seeing your photos. And I mentioned in last week's episode with Vexley, like, anytime I see someone I know, especially like Rob or Vexley on stage... Even though you're the photographer, you're not supposed to be seen on stage in production. I do like to go, hey, I know that person, and then go look for the photos you guys have taken, and seeing what wonderful work and what inspiration I may sort of gleam into how you managed to get that shot and what I could hopefully work in with fighting.
Very good way to learn. Yeah,
I try. And with people with production teams uploading to Flickr. The EXIF data is there, so you can sort of work out like how to set up your camera to take those certain sort of shots.
Mm-hmm.
But practice makes perfect. Just go to an event, go somewhere, take photos. Just bring your camera, be that person. You might find it cringe, but you're just gonna have to do it if you do it for the passion.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. Is I would say the is the summary. And I know people who hates to hear that because it's just like it sounds like I'm being dismissive when I say that.
Yes,
like,
but no,
she's been there for 12 years, like everything is easy for her. But like I do understand the struggle if you're like somewhere, if you're landlocked in an area that doesn't have esports events, that there's also, with all due respect, there's not much that I can tell you.
No,
like I'm sorry. But try to shoot other things. Yes. Esports is pretty specific, but there are definitely some skills that translate to other areas of photography. And if you have your basics covered, you will be already like miles ahead when you actually go to an esports event.
Yes.
Then
low light, work in low light a lot, because
work in low light if you can. Yes.
You'll be surprised at how dark these things actually are. Speaking of esports, one question I forgot to ask, and I want to ask now. Like, you mentioned you've dabbled in fighting games, and if I remember correctly, potentially, you have worked a few fighting game major events.
No.
I've
worked one fighting game event. Unless I'm forgetting something super obvious, but it was DreamHack London, 2015.
Okay.
I think long time ago, and I was hired to cover DreamHack Open, but there was also a fighting game tournament there. Basically, whenever there's there was a DreamHack, there's like a I Am Dallas or something. There's like a bigger event that I try and go, and at least if I can't shoot at the moment, I will at least try to just like check out the fighting game tournament, because it's just such a completely different beast than other esports. I gotta say. In a lot of ways.
Do you remember what game it was in 2015?
I'm sorry. And also, I'm pretty sure it was like one of those like open. Just they had like a tournament after tournament in the same area. Like day after day. Like they would play different games, but just the
Free
same
play as
setup.
such.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought you was in the Middle East for not the
Oh,
East Coast World
true.
Cup.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That I forgot something.
There you go.
Something obvious. Yeah.
Again,
I shot.
it sounds creepy that I follow like where you've been and what events you've done.
No. That's a great point. I have been lucky enough to shoot Tekken at Gamers 8 in 2023. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was just the be able to like meet the people, to see the vibes, and of course it's very different than what I consider like a fighting game tournament, right? It was like a very big stage, and
Yes.
everyone was like super far away from each other, and because I when I think about like fighting game tournaments, I think about like the stages are big and the tournaments are obviously like amazing,
Yeah.
but it comes down to those two people sitting next to each other and playing on one screen,
Yeah.
like very close together, which creates a complete different dynamics than what you have in different esports.
Yeah.
And at a Game as 8, it was this very classic esports setup when people were like set up more like StarCraft players on two different edges of the stage and far away from each other. So, but still, it was amazing to see and learn and to kind of like, double a tiny bit in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So I take it you enjoyed your time covering that. Good. I'm glad.
I did.
What would you change? What would you bring from esports into a fighting game like Gamers 8 event?
I don't feel qualified to answer that question because I haven't seen enough fighting games tournaments. Like
everyone is qualified. Everyone has an opinion, and like as someone that has been inside, again, esports as a whole, with a lot of team games as such, and being in a lot of arenas, a lot of majors like Blast, what would you want to bring in? Like, you've covered a lot of different games. Like, so what would you want to bring in to help fighting games glow up as such? And yeah, I wouldn't say you don't have an opinion. I would say you do.
From what I've seen on from what I've seen, the setups that you guys usually have, as I said, they create those fantastic dynamics and very different narratives than when you shoot usual esports. But I think sometimes they can be like zhuzhed up a bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes I see this like very big stage and just like this little setup with two guys playing, which again is the main show and that's the most important part. But sometimes it feels like, guys, you can
not enough
hype
stage
it up
presence,
a bit, right? Just give me LED here, like a tube there, and it's just gonna like But that is literally one thing I can think about.
That's fine. That's fine.
Make it just a bit,
And I would agree. After
I think it could be done without without taking away from that like raw thing that you guys have in the core of the fighting games.
No, I would definitely agree because the stage presence sometimes when it's so big and you have just two guys and a screen, there's so much space to use, and what do we do here?
Yeah, there's so much space to use. Yeah, exactly. So
no, I definitely agree there. So again, your opinion is very valid, Adela. So please don't dismiss yourself. Don't dismiss what you think. And speaking of like majors and events, like one question that I normally ask people that are in fighting games is, what do you class as a major? Having spoken to other people that are in esports, like yourself, like every event is a major. Every event is big. There is a massive storyline that spans over the whole year. There's like the best example I have really, again, still is Blast. Like you have so many Blast events. You have the storylines from season start to season end to the grand finals, basically, to see who wins. And where I'm going with this, I'm not really sure. But like, what is one major? Actually, I've got two questions here now. I've thought of them. Like, which region has the best fans? Because you've been around the world. And which major has had the best experience?
Oh Lord.
I'm getting off
Okay.
script here, so I'll apologize.
Okay. I'm putting me in a dangerous position here.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. The first question, it's easy for me to answer because I am biased and I will not apologize for that. I'm sorry. I am Katowice Spodek. This is like unbeatable. Like I've been all around the world. Polish fans are the best.
Okay.
Y'all are not even close. We need more events in Poland. Just saying. So
I will come visit. That's perfectly fine.
yeah,
Which
come
events?
visit. Come visit. We are pretty hype. So sorry, not sorry. Polska górą. And when it comes to the best major experience for me, I haven't shot that many majors now that I think about it, to be absolutely fair with you.
Really?
Really, yeah.
Really?
But the major that I will remember the most is probably the Rio major in 2023.
Okay.
Just because, because like there was one of the majors, I think it was either the first one or one of the first ones when they opened up the games to the public, not only for that last biggest stage, but also throughout, let's call it like the group stage, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or parts of the group stage. And it was amazing. I gotta say, Brazilian fans, very close second to my Polish brothers and sisters. They were like, they were intense. That was something. And I remember a moment when I was shooting we were shooting semi or quarters? Semis. It was Heroic versus Furia. And Furia being, of course, hometown heroes, right?
Yeah.
I think they got into, I don't want to lie, I'm sorry. No, it had to be the quarters. So I was shooting quarters and Furia was playing against, I'm pretty sure, Mouse. Furia being the hometown heroes again, and they won that game.
Okay.
Bruh, at some point, it was so loud and so insane. I was standing there in my noise cancelling headphones because at some point we realized that without those we won't go far. And I remember standing on the edge of the stage.
Yeah.
And Furia won another round, and we were waiting for overtime to start, or there was like a timeout or something. That was a small break.
Yeah.
And the crowd was so loud at some point, I started maniacally laughing out loud, just cackling, because it was so much emotion. I was just standing there and laughing, and I couldn't hear the sound coming out of my own mouth because everything was just like so loud. It was just a very, very intense major for me, and I will remember it for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
intense core memory. Yeah,
definitely. Like when a wave of emotion hits you that hard, and you
just start laughing. It's just
you go with it. You go with the flow. You flow along. That's amazing. Ah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to experience that one day. So yeah.
I wish you will. I hope you will.
Thank you. But you say you haven't shot a lot of majors. What do you class as a major then? I don't believe you. Like, I'm gonna poke you at this one.
No, it's like, for me, when we're talking about the majors, we're speaking about the literal Counter-Strike majors, and those are very specific, like Valve ordained tournaments that are the biggest thing that you can achieve in Counter-Strike. I had shot a lot of major tournaments, as in like big stadium tournaments.
Yeah.
But for me, when you say the major, I think literally about the Counter-Strike ones.
Okay.
And those, I think I've shot like 3 or 4, which... This is not nothing, but it's not like I have like a portfolio of majors to choose from.
Okay.
So
Fair. Okay. And you mentioned like noise cancelling headphones. Like, I'm gonna go into gear now.
Let's go.
So obviously you are a photographer, so you have a camera. First question: primes or zooms?
Bruh, no, you can't do this to me. Begrudgingly, if I have to like choose one.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Fuck. No. If I had to choose one lens to shoot a whole event on, it would be 2870 probably.
Okay.
2.0.
Sure.
But yeah.
Okay.
Primes. If I can choose primes.
Yeah.
But if I have to go or backlight or something, then of course zooms.
Okay. Okay.
The new Zooms are very, very good.
They are very.
Yeah.
And speaking of packing, or packing light even, what is in your camera bag? Like, I'm assuming 2 bodies and a number of lenses. Like, what lenses do you bring with you to an event?
2 bodies, and a couple of zoom lenses like 15-35 and 28-70, and my beloved 70-100. It's a baby.
Yeah.
And then a couple of beautiful primes that I have bought recently, like 85 1.2 or 50 1.2 or 35 1.8. They're very good, by the way. Very good. Like, it's a macro lens, but it's like 1.8. It's the Canon one.
Okay.
It's relatively cheap. I would say if someone's on the budget but wants to have a really good lens that will get them through a lot of events, a lot of event work, I would recommend the 35 1.8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's your cameras and your lenses.
I got a couple of filters. I started using them recently as well.
Oh yeah.
The Starburst filter, the Starburst filter is usually what everyone likes it nowadays. So.
Yes, yeah. I've picked some up myself as well, and they work. That's all you can say. They work. They make it look magical, so you can't really go wrong.
True. I was surprised, however, by I don't know even why I was surprised, but I was by the variety and quality depending on what you buy.
Yes.
Because I kind of thought that, well, it's a Starburst lens, right? This is no, it's just I broke my beloved Prismafx Starburst lens.
Oh no!
At World.
I'm sorry.
It was the sacrifice to the esports guys, apparently, that had to be made. Yes, and then I just, because Prismafx ships from the US and I didn't have much time, I just bought something off Amazon. And that was a rough awakening. That was like, the lines were like all over my frame. It's just nothing but the stars. It was nothing. Yeah. So like, it really depends on the filter. It's just like, some of them are like those nice and subtle, and just like Prismafx, it just gives you just like 1-2 blings and not like everything all around your.
Yes.
So
no.
Prismafx, sponsor me, please.
Yes, please.
I love you.
Bella.
I love you.
I probably might change mine to Prismafx now that you've mentioned it, because the ones I have, whilst are good, those Starbursts they cover the whole frame.
Insane, right?
It does the job, but it just depends on the shot. So that's your bodies, that's your lenses, that's your filters. So outside of the photography aspect of it, you've obviously mentioned the noise cancelling headphones. What else do you bring to an event? Like, obviously your laptops, your chargers, your memory cards, batteries, all of that. Like, what things do you bring that people don't really think about coming to an event, to work in an event like a Blast or Worlds or the International or even Game Changers? Like, you need noise cancelling headphones because hearing is quite important. Surprisingly enough.
Noise cancelling headphones are so important to me that if I ever somehow, I don't know how it would happen, but if I ever don't bring them with me, I would buy a second pair at the airport immediately. I have to have them with me. It's just it's a non-negotiable.
Yes.
Let me think. Things that I would bring with me to help me work at the event.
So not sure if you know Robert Paul in the US.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Rob, amazing guy. Like, I asked him,
fantastic photographer.
And a fantastic photographer. He's also been on this podcast. So one thing I asked him about was shoes. Like, people we don't realize, like, we are on our feet.
Very good point. Yes.
So, like, what sort of shoes do you bring? Because he mentioned hiking shoes, hiking boots.
Okay.
So what do you wear?
For the longest time, I wore sneakers.
Yeah.
Like Air Max were just as long as they were black, I wore them.
Yeah.
Then I discovered that Converse actually has those like they look like regular Converse.
Yeah.
But they have like a thicker, I would say thicker sole.
Yeah, thicker.
And and turns out that inside they have the fluffiest, nicest, most comfortable, it's like the best sneaker I've ever worn.
Wow.
But it's just cool looking Converse. So I'm wearing those nowadays.
Okay.
But I would say any type of running shoes, any type of proper running shoes with. I cannot work on I cannot really walk even on the flat kind of soles.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for.
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry, English not my first language. But yeah, so shoes are extremely important.
Yes.
I would say everyone who uses double cameras knows how important it is to have a proper setup to wear them.
Yes.
I've been using a thing called spider belt.
Okay.
It's something that you wear. It allows you to wear your cameras on your hips.
Yeah.
And it looks kind of cool because you kind of like it's like your guns.
Yeah.
Just kind of it's like a holster. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
But I really think it helped me save my back for over those 12 years that I've been working. And I have bought them. I have bought this one belt, and it's still working for me. I haven't had to exchange or
Wow.
It's a fantastic investment.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So shoes, obviously, I'm very surprised you mentioned Converse because
I was surprised too. I bought them because they look nice, and then I started walking in them to I started putting them on when I'm going out to town or something. And then I was like, I could actually work in those. They're fantastic, and I started. So.
Yeah, because I've had Hokas as one of them. Obviously, the Americans. I'm on New Balance. I've got the Grandad shoes, which are amazing. And yeah, Converse third option now. Wow. Okay. And then Spider Belt. So I've got. So not even but why the belt over the straps? Because obviously, again, for those that are listening and watching, there are two options. Adela has already mentioned the Spider Belt, which basically gives you a holster, gives you a bit more freehold. And there's also the Spider Straps, which is basically like a vest with two attachment points for your cameras. So why did you choose the belt over the straps?
First of all, the complete personal preference. What works better for you is good. For me, and I would say a lot of women that I know, the belt works better because of women carry more weight on their hips. Our hips are basically stronger, and it's just easier for me. And my upper body is not as strong as my lower body, so if I had to carry all of that on my shoulders, I think I would feel it very fast.
Yes.
And actually, there was one time I gave my cameras to cleaning, and when I got them back, I forgot to reattach those things that would allow me to use my spider belt. So I went to an event and realized that I don't have my belt with me, and it's very expensive. So I just bought the shoulder holster on Amazon, and I used it. It worked. It was fine. My back hurts after 3 days already.
Yeah.
I'm just not used to carrying that much weight on my shoulders. But again, completely personal preference. I don't think any one of those is inherently better than the other.
No, this is definitely 100% personal preference.
Yeah.
I'm always just interested in people's personal preference and why. And you would make very, very valid points. The hips can carry a bit more and are stronger sometimes for certain people. And so that's very, very fair. Anything else that you can think of to help you go to events, like shoes, the holster, the noise-cancelling headphones? Are we talking over ears or in ears?
Over ears.
Over ears. Okay,
Bose,
Bose. Bose ones, yeah.
Bose, yeah. Bose Quiet Comforts.
Yes, always.
Those are my...
the go-to. Yeah. They are great.
Yes.
And they are non-negotiable, especially if you fly.
Yes, God.
Oh, man.
Definitely.
For those that fly not often or often, if you don't wear noise-cancelling headphones, please just invest in some because it just makes your trip a lot easier and nicer.
It's an investment in your mental health, really.
Yes. And good music as well, being able to listen to.
Absolutely. Black clothes, always. I know it's maybe might not be obvious, but there is an agreement in a photographer community that if you want to work anywhere remotely close to the stage, you have to wear black head to toe, and it's actually non-negotiable. And I try to be patient with new people and give them grace and everything. But if I see someone from a team or a brand or a sponsor, just someone I don't know, just going on stage wearing jeans and a black t-shirt, there's this... Yes. Don't do that. Wear black. If you want to have... and you will also have a much more chance of the stage manager allowing you on stage in the first place if you're wearing black.
Yes.
So do yourself a favor. everyone looks great in black, just wear black.
Yeah. It's called stage blacks for a reason, guys. Like, do it.
Yes. And unfortunately, we try not to do that, but we will judge you. I'm not proud of it, but it's just I'm putting it out there. I'm judging people if they're not wearing black and shooting. So
I do the same. I don't have as an experienced resume as yourself with events, but no, honestly, like all black or as dark as possible if it's, you know, not a big event or you're not being paid for it, but, you know, get into the mindset of wearing all black.
True, but this is one of those, like, you know, maybe like I'm just so used in our ways of doing things. It's like it's not dark brown, it's not dark blue, it's black.
Yes,
we're black.
Just wear black. Like no logos, no nothing.
Yeah, no logos, no like big anime faces on the back of your t-shirt. As I see a lot of people like this is I like the fits are fire, and I appreciate a lot the fits that people bring to the table.
Yes.
But we are here to work. We are so. The t-shirt is fantastic, and I will ask you probably where'd you get that from, but do not wear it.
Not on stage. Yes.
Yeah.
And again, the same with shoes. Like I will look for all black shoes.
Shoes are not as important as long as they're not like, you know, yellow, fluorescent yellow. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah,
like white.
I just look for all black, even black soles. Like
better.
Just all black. Be a ninja. Honestly, just become an ninja.
Absolutely, as much as you can.
Yes.
But yeah, with shoes, it's way more important for you to be comfortable. So like, if there's this particular shoe that you can afford and that it's just good for you, doesn't come in black, don't worry about it. Just wear health is more important in this.
Yeah, being able to move is definitely more important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's somewhat of your gear of you bringing to events. How do you bring it to events? Are you a hard case carry girl or are you a soft case carry?
I have a soft case. I have one of those cases that looks very sneaky, and if you don't know that it's a camera case, you probably wouldn't think that it's a camera case.
Yeah.
Because I would never give my gear to like check-in luggage when I fly. It's just don't do that. I just like the amount of time my luggage got lost, and then I was thinking, if that was my cameras, I would be screwed for these events. Just don't.
Yeah.
So I carry one of those cute, sneaky little cases that just, if you don't know what it is, you just wouldn't care too much. And it is a soft case because also I feel I get way less questions from the flight crews.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I always go over the weight limit. It's just like my camera case is like 12, 15 kilos. If you're a flight attendant, no, you didn't. I did not say that, but it's just like around like 12 kilos or something. Yeah. So the less questions I get asked, the better.
Yes.
People are usually very understanding, and once they see what's inside my case, they just go.
Yeah.
But it's unnecessary stress for everyone. So.
Indeed. Again, a bit. Little story again. I've told this one last week, but I'll say it again. The very first event where was the very first international event I went to was through help of Vexley. And all I had back then was one camera body, 7200, 2470, plus my laptop, plus
good setup.
My clothing. All I brought with me was a carry-on rucksack. And unfortunately, I was staying off-site. It was a very good setup. But having one body and changing lenses during the event is always a pain. Like, if you can have two bodies, do it. But obviously costs and all that. Like, guys, don't think you need two bodies. It's just quality. It's just easier. It doesn't mean you have to do it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But having all of that on a rucksack, no wheelie cases, no soft bags, no pelly cases, nothing. And staying off site after a 12-hour day of running around a venue hall, conference hall, shooting, packing everything up, and dragging it back to the hotel, which was like a 15-minute walk. My back was dying after the first day. Yeah. So if you have wheels...
There's also, wheels are the best.
Wheelie bags are great.
Yeah, on the topic of like, if you have to have two cameras or not, there was this one event I shot that I bought my first mirrorless for. Ooh. And back then I had the mirrorless and the old 5D Mark IV.
Okay, yeah.
And the mirrorless got lost.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
I was left with like my older camera, and I took some of the best events, the best shots of my career with that one camera.
Yeah.
And that also that like the mirrorless got stolen right before the big stage group. So I went on stage with just my old camera and my older lenses, and I took some of the best photos of my career with that. So guys, do not worry. While the double camera setup helps immensely, it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Don't worry about it.
And it doesn't. And like even like I said, a older camera that you had with you took some of your best shots with it. The equipment only matters to an extent.
To an extent, yes. There are, of course, some limitations that you cannot get over.
Yes.
With the equipment, if your equipment is just not on par, esports is very difficult. The lights are low and they move a lot. The colors are insane. If you don't have stage access, you will have to deal with you will have to probably crop your shots a lot to get the frame that you actually was going for. So yes, to some extent, unfortunately, equipment is very important. What I did in the beginning of my career, when I couldn't afford just having all the equipment that I have now, I rented out.
Yes.
And it's really helped me out because my shots got much better because I was working on better equipment, and my clients noticed that. And it's something that I would also recommend to people who are starting out. If you can afford it, I would say it might be worth as like this, even think of it as an investment.
Yes.
Just maybe it's worth to rent out that fantastic lens or like the second body for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Think
of it as an investment. Think of it as training. Think of it as a goal to achieve, to own that.
Absolutely.
Potential.
Yeah, and you get to try out the new thing as well and see if that's something that would maybe work for you later.
Exactly.
Renting out is like a very good way to do it.
And there are so many options around the world. You should be able to find something if you search for it online. And if any like renting companies for photography wants to reach out and sponsor this podcast, feel free to. So a couple more questions, and then I appreciate the amount of time you have given me today, Adela.
It's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure to ask you these questions and actually speak to you. What is one thing you want people to know about your role in events? One thing you think that people like don't realize and go like, we've spoken a lot today about like how, wearing stage black, getting stage access, being a star photographer, being on staff and such. But like, what is one thing people don't realize about what you do? Like, I'll give as an example. Really is the amount of travel that you sometimes have to do for the job. And again, last week with Vexany, she's mentioned how she's had to give up certain aspects. No, I say give up. To basically not be as involved in her personal friends' lives because she has to travel so much.
Absolutely.
So, like, what would you say to people listening? What is one thing people don't realize that you've had to do to achieve where you are now?
Well, Stephanie was right, as she usually is. Don't
tell her that.
Well, she's my friend. She can know that. Shout out, Steph.
Yeah.
The traveling is not as glamorous as it sounds in practice, and everyone working in esports will tell you that those majestic, beautiful sights that we get to see when we travel are parking lots. Usually, the hotels that we're staying in are usually like, I open the curtains and I see usually a parking lot. So there's not that much time and honestly energy and effort that you can put into traveling adventures when you're done with the event, because the broadcast days can be as long as 16 hours easily, and then you have to be there the next day on the top of your game again to deliver that again. And you don't always have time to come a bit earlier or stay a bit longer to explore on your own. because well, sometimes you're just plain tired. Sometimes you just have to go to a next event. It's just so the traveling aspect of the job, I would say, and the traveling aspect of esports is way less glamorous than people think. But I also understand this is something that you don't believe if you don't experience it yourself. Like when people start, they're usually those like wide-eyed, amazed. Oh my God, I'm gonna see so many countries. Like you're gonna see so many airports, but don't know about the countries.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but and it is tiring, and but it also is an immense privilege because every now and then you do get to stay a bit longer in one of those fantastic places that you are, or the broadcast is short and you get to go out and see the city for a bit, and those moments are an absolute blessing, and I'll never take them for granted. But also, yeah, it's almost like having two lives when it comes to the amount that you travel and the amount that you are at home. I have moved into my new apartment 6 months ago, and I still haven't actually really like decorated it because when I'm home, I don't have time or capacity to think about what poster to buy, and I'm not here enough to actually, care that much about the posters that I have on my walls. So again, this is a privilege, but it gets a little bit old after a while. So that is, to echo what Stephanie said on your podcast. On a bit of a lighter note, I would like the whole esports community to know that, and I think I speak on behalf of every esports photographer ever, and I'm going to look straight in the camera for this. We are also tired of the esports pose. There's usually not much that we can do about it. And please don't blame it on us, because we are tired as well. That's been a public service announcement.
That's your PSA. Like any PR marketing people that are working with these players, please teach them some new poses.
I'm not. It's not even that. It's just like the players that I work with, guys. Please don't blame me for the esports pose. Let's just do it and get it over with. It's but no, also like the esports pose where it's a meme at this point and everyone is tired of it, blah blah blah. It's a very simple and good pose for everyone who is just maybe not as media trained or doesn't feel as comfortable in front of the camera. It's just usually a very good solution to a lot of problems. And every now and then someone comes and thinks that they're the first person to notice that the esports pose is old and they're gonna fix that problem. And I like to just take a step back and watch then, because it usually ends up with, it's changing, fortunately, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yes.
But I also do understand that the players are players. They're here to compete in a tournament. They're not here to be professional models in front of my camera. And I will always do everything I can to make people as comfortable as they are.
Yes.
But also just some people are very uncomfortable in front of camera, and that's okay.
Yes.
You are here to compete. You're not here to be a model.
Yes.
So especially in those times, esports pose, very easy, right? You can just you stand like this. You don't have to do much. It's a good go-to. So that's the one thing I would like everyone to know. It's not that we don't have other ideas. It's not that we are boring and we just love esports pose. It's simple answer to a lot of questions.
Yes.
So
it works for better and for worse.
It works for a lot of stuff, but yes.
Yes.
And if I can say another thing to the players in general, I would say that sometimes I feel that people are a bit afraid that we're gonna take a photo, make them look bad, and publish that. And I want to just say that it is not in our best interest to do that. Actually, completely the other way. In my best interest is to make everyone I shoot look as good as as good as possible, as good as humanly possible, right?
Yes.
So, publishing photos of people chewing or with their mouths half open or something is just not it's not a reasonable thing to do.
No.
And so don't worry, we all of the photographers I know will always strive to make you look as good as humanly possible. And So
No, good. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. Like, if I caught you mid blink or chewing, like, I'm not gonna post that photo. I'll show it to you once.
yeah, I may show it to you, send it to you, and we will make maybe if we're like friends enough, we will make a WhatsApp sticker out of it. But
that's it.
That's it.
It's not going public anywhere else.
No.
And staying again on the lighter note, like again with all that travel, what is the best country you have visited, or which country has the best car park or the best airport that you visited? Like, what's your favorite country outside of if you've been to Japan? Like, I'm scratching Japan off the list.
I still haven't been to Japan or Korea, and I really hope it will change soon.
Joe is currently out in Tokyo in Japan for Apex. Shout out to Joe Brady, nice guy, amazing guy.
Fuck you, Joe Brady. You're in Japan and I'm not.
Yeah, it's true.
Send me a postcard or something.
But yeah, what country is your favorite?
Sorry, Joe. My favorite. I've been recently in Thailand, and I've attended ESL1 in Bangkok.
Yeah,
that was a Dota event.
Yeah,
and then I was blessed enough to be able to stay in Thailand for 2 more weeks, and that was just
amazing.
The best holiday of my life. Just Thailand. I miss you. I miss the food. I miss the weather. I miss everything. I miss the sea. I just miss everything. Yeah. So
I miss mango sticky rice.
Very high on my list right now. I highly recommend go to Thailand.
Yes, definitely, 100% agree. And yeah, like I said, I miss mango sticky rice. I was there in November, so it was perfect hot weather compared to this cold British we've got. But yeah, Thailand, definitely a great answer. Pretty nice one. Appreciate that. I'm very surprised with Japan and Korea so far.
I've
hopefully one day. I say a couple more questions. I keep saying a couple more questions. Like, specifically, this is a very selfish question, but I think a lot of photographers will also appreciate this. Like, what would you say specifically to introverted photographers, like people that may not like talking to, who may work well in a team with other people and can maybe put on a mask and be sociable, but are actually internally introverted? I'm not sure if you're an introverted person yourself, Adela, but like, what would you say?
Believe it or not, I'm very introverted.
There we go. So even better. So like, between you and I, both introverts, like what would you say to your past self in becoming a photographer? Obviously, you've with hindsight, you said like, go send that email to those press teams, to those media outlets, like try and find something to do that you want to do. But what would you say to like up and coming photographers now, like who are introverted, who may not feel comfortable in reaching out to media outlets?
I would tell the past Adela and a lot of people nowadays the same thing that past Adela told herself, and what I think made her successful, which is the good old fake it till you make it. It's you're not a confident extrovert person. Just pretend that you are for 5 minutes. I used to do a lot of I love playing tabletop RPGs. That was in high school. I spent a lot of time doing that. And then when I'm in uni also a bit. And just if you are not this confident person, then make a character and play the character for a bit if you have to. Or if there is someone that you know or like someone that you admire that is this kind of person that you would like to be, this confident, person who's not afraid to talk to other people, just channel that person. Try to behave like that person. That's what really helped me. Channeling people that I know that would behave like I would want to behave. But yeah, fake it till you make it is another like phrase that really got me for my career, honestly. So
key phrase right there, honestly.
And again, it sounds very simple, and it sounds like something like this kind of dismissive advice that I would give someone to like, just fake it till you make it. But it's true. This really what helped me. And at some point, it will, like every time you do it, it will become a bit easier. And I'm also speaking from experience. Every time you go out and actually talk to people, every time you write that email, every time it's just gonna be easier. And it probably also got easier for me just with age, just like some age and experience. It was just, I stopped being so like self-centered and just became much chiller about myself as well. It's like, because, when you're younger, when you're a teenager, you really think that the world revolves around you, right? And every time you make a mistake, you are convinced that everyone in the world is looking right now and laughing. It's just not happening. No one cares that much. So, I think also realizing that and like kind of getting out of my own head really helped me with that. But still, I do struggle with, that's the part of the job I still struggle with. That this kind of being confident and being extrovert, and like coming out to people and just like asking, hey, can we take a photo? Sometimes I have to like hype myself up for like 15 minutes before I actually go and do it. And by that time it's too late. But it's a process. But just try. And
process and a mood.
Pretending to be someone else is a completely valid strategy to succeed.
Yes. Pretend to be that person. Don't pretend that you are actually that person. We're not doing identity fraud here. But
absolutely, like we're not going full Fight Club here, right? No. But just like make a bit of a character, play like pretend this is a stage, and maybe that will help you as well.
Yeah, it definitely help. I mean, very words to live by. Fake it till you make it. What goes for everything in adult life. Like, you'd be surprised how many adults, how many people, how many peers of yours in anything you do are actually still faking it till they
absolutely
they're probably not even
most of us just feel like we're pretending to be adults and professionals, and like most of us feel that at any given moment someone will come and be like, aha,
gotcha,
you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, shit, you're right, I don't. Not really. So don't worry, we all like,
we're all there.
Yeah, we all feel that.
It's
to give an example of like kind of successful fake it till you make it. A couple of years ago, I would never have agreed to come and speak on camera with. I just wouldn't, because I was too insecure. But I wanted to give it a go, and I'm very happy I did, because it's just like I've had such a lovely chat with you so far, and it's just lovely to be here. But yeah, I had to hype myself up. I had to kind of fake my confidence being here. So this is an example of that principle working in real life.
And honestly, guys, we've not had this conversation prior to starting the recording. Like, I did not know Adela that well. I did not know Adela at all, even. Like, I just, again, without sounding creepy, followed her work. An enigma. But yeah, knowing Adela, like, had to hype herself up and come onto this podcast. And thank you again for saying yes to talking about your experiences and teaching people about how they may proceed into getting into esports photography. My final question, as always, even though I have asked so much of your time and asked you so many questions and let you yap, and yapping is very good for podcasts, as you'd be surprised.
For the soul
as well. Last question really is, where can people find you? Is there anything you want to promote? What event should people maybe watch next or catch you at that you're covering, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, of course. Catch me, guys, at IEM Katowice. This will be my 12th year in a row covering that. Not like there was this one Katowice that just didn't happen, so we're not counting this one. But like, I'm gonna be there again. I cannot be more happy and proud to be there again. So watch me there. I'm also gonna be at the SI in Boston for Rainbow Six for the main stage. So very hyped and excited to be there as well. And if you want to check out my work online, you can do it at Twitter or Instagram at Adela Schneider. That's my handle. It's not easily, it's a Polish surname, so it's going to be difficult it's difficult to pronounce to a lot of people, or difficult to write. It's basically Adela, like Adela, like written underneath, and SZNAJDER. maybe it will be easier if you just check out the link below this this podcast. Yeah, my handle is just my name and surname pretty much everywhere. And if you want to check out my portfolio, it's also adelaschneider.com. Just my name and surname. I don't have any handle. Yeah, I'll be happy to see you guys there. Also, yeah, I am open. My DMs are open on Twitter. And I'm happy to at least try and answer any reasonable is like, wide word, right? But I'm happy to answer questions, especially coming from like newcomers about trades, about portfolios, about if there's anything that hasn't been covered in this podcast. I probably will not answer the question about how to use your camera because that's something that's easy to Google. But if you want me to take a look at your portfolio, for example, or if you'd like me to, if you have like any specific esports photography related questions, just shoot. I can't promise I'll come back to you immediately, but I will try and check that inbox regularly and I'll be very happy to see you there. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Adela. You've taken the words right out of my mouth. Guys, again, you can find all the links to Adela and her work below or in the comments. And in the comments, if you have any questions that we haven't covered, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if there are enough questions, again, I may be able to convince Adela in her very busy schedule to appear for a second interview on this podcast. That'd be kind of nice. I would love to have you on again.
That would be lovely, yeah. This time I promise I won't do my COVID vaccine right before our guys get vaccinated is also, yes, very important. Yes, when you go to those like mass, like lots of people traveling, airports, do your vaccinations. Please. However, and wear your masks. I wear my mask pretty much all the time nowadays when I'm working with like a big stadium audience because it just feels safer.
Yes.
But let me warn you, COVID vaccine, it wrecked me for like 2-3 days. Yes. Just be ready for that. Also, I'm an old lady, so that's why.
You're not that old.
Get your vaccines, guys.
Get your vaccines.
Yes.
Yes, get your vaccines, wear a mask. Just wear a mask, not even.
Yes, please wear a mask, especially if you're ill. Like
Yes.
Sorry. And my another pet peeve after like people not wearing black and trying to be on stage is people being sick and not wearing a mask. Guys, come on.
Honestly,
like we've had a like, please. I don't want to be sick.
No.
Because you're sick.
Yes.
Please.
Please.
Yes.
And guys, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, please drop a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching. Adela, thank you very much for your time and thank you for jumping on this podcast.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.
I'm glad. Guys, thank you very much. This has been Behind the Stage. I'm Drift. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Bye.